Ooh, what a good day for a run.
Hello guys, welcome to another video of training. My name is Harrison and today we're gonna talk about training in the heat, or more generally speaking, exercising in the heat. If you live in a hot and humid place, I know that it must speak to you, right? I mean, sometimes it's so hot and so gross that I wonder, what's the point? Why am I doing all this? Is there anything to gain from that, or am I just stupid to run in that heat? But don't worry, actually there are lots of benefits you get from exercising in the heat that goes way and beyond the physiological and physical adaptation. It has actually positive impact on your cognitive functions. Yeah, you get smarter actually. So in this video we're going to give you 6 reasons why you should keep training even though it's gross, nasty, hot, humid outside. Number 1, let's start with the physiological adaptation. As soon as you throw your body into the heat and begin to exercise, you create a need to circulate blood out to the skin for cooling, and this both draws blood away from working muscles and also lowers the amount of blood your heart can pump with each beat. Evaporative cooling from sweat is the main mode of heat reduction during exercise. So the distribution of blood to your skin is combined with the loss of fluid and blood volume via sweat. And that places an additional demand on an already stressed heart. Your muscles, who are supposed to receive oxygen via blood, is now forced to work with less oxygen because the blood has been redirected to the skin. As blood pressure and cardiac output fall from this drop in blood volume, temperature elevation accelerates, performance drops as the body reaches critical core temperature, and neuromuscular drive and metabolic function subsequently begin to plummet. In plain English, it sucks. Because your runs become much harder, especially during the first few days, until you get acclimatized, your body is going through many physiological adaptations in response to the weather so that you don't feel as crap. But if you keep training in the heat, some cool stuff are going to happen. Lower core temperature at the onset of sweating, more efficient sweating, increased blood volume, aka plasma volume expansion. Just say that if you want to sound smart. Anyways, I digress. Improved running economy, greater cardiac output, higher VO2 max, and hence improved performance. Woohoo! Training in the heat is in many ways similar to training at altitude. If you can train in the heat and race in the cold in the same training block, you would get the most benefits out of it. Unfortunately, those superpowers from the heat adaptation are only temporary and last only a couple of weeks. So even though you train your ass off during summer, you won't be Superman in winter. Sorry. And actually you get other benefits that are not often spoken of that fly under the radar. I'm talking about neurological adaptation. In plain English, the cool effects you get on your brain. Now, number 2, the so-called runner's high. You already know what I'm talking about, right? It's like when you feel super happy, euphoric. But actually, have you ever wondered what's going on exactly inside your brain? So, in our brain, we have something called opioid receptors. And so every time a compound comes to bind with these receptors, a reaction in the brain occurs. It's like a lock and its key, if you will. And so you have one opioid receptor called kappa opioid, which is responsible for pain. And one compound that can bind with this receptor is called dynorphin. And when this dynorphin comes to bind with this kappa receptor, you don't feel good, you feel dysphoric. And this is actually what's happening in your brain when you run under the heat. Your brain starts to release a bunch of dynorphin, which will bind with those kappa receptors, those pain receptors, and you will feel crap. And so the more dynorphin, the more painful it is. But the binding of this dynorphin to their kappa receptors triggers another reaction. Another receptor responsible for euphoria will be upregulated, meaning it will become much more sensitive whenever something comes to bind with it. And that something is endorphin. And so to summarize, the more pain you feel, the more those mu receptors, those happy receptors, will be sensitive. And so in response to your pain, your brain will release a bunch of endorphin that will bind to a bunch of mu receptors, those happy receptors, which will make you super duper high. Like for example, once you start to laugh at things that are not supposed to be funny. Dude, your nipples. Oh my god, I'm bleeding! It's so funny! And that runner's high feeling will potentially last throughout the entire day, which is a very nice double whammy effect. Number 3, better focus and attention. Heat stress also activates the release of norepinephrine, and norepinephrine is what's involved in focus and attention. Usually, a too high level of norepinephrine is often linked to anxiety, elevated blood pressure, and hyperactivity, while too low levels, on the other hand, cause lethargy, inattention, and lack of focus and concentration. Number 4, heat shock protein. Heat shock protein is one of the body's response to heat stress, and those HSP have many roles in the body. Proteins are made of chains of amino acids, and when those amino acids are linked together, the next process is called protein folding. This is when the protein gets its 3-dimensional structure. The proteins that do not fold properly triggers a bunch of immune responses and other issues, such as the Huntington disease. Not sure about the spelling. And so HSP, heat shock proteins, play a role in making sure that the proteins get the right structure, meaning that they are properly folding and doing what they are supposed to do, and so help prevent a lot of bad stuff to happen. But that doesn't stop here. When you're under high stress, usually that triggers death of cells, and heat shock proteins helps prevent that. It also protects the heart against bigger subsequent stress. Last but not least, HSP has been shown to have an anti-aging and longevity effect. Hey yo you, how old are you by the way? 65. Number 5, muscle repair and muscle building. When you run, you do lots of muscle breakdown and micro tears. And this breakdown of muscles is called catabolism. So whenever you break down muscles, you gotta repair them. You gotta reconstruct them. And running is not the only thing that breaks down muscle. Aging is another one. So when you combine running and aging, that's not a good combination in terms of building muscle or even maintaining muscle mass. And the thing that is responsible for muscle growth and muscle repairment are growth hormones. And one of the body's reaction in response to the heat stress is an increased production of growth hormone. Number 6, increased level of BDNF. Nope, I didn't say DNF, but BDNF, which stands for Brain Derived Neurotrophic Factor. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. BDNF is a protein responsible for the growth of neurons. It also plays a significant role in the creation of new neurons, aka neurogenesis, which leads to a better memory and an improved learning capacity. I know Kung Fu. Another cool feature about neurogenesis is that it also helps you against anxiety by helping you forget the things that you want to forget and the things that make you anxious and so on and so forth.
Dis, t'avais pas dit que t'allais passer l'aspirateur aujourd'hui?
Huh? No.
Okay, well now with all that on the table, you might be thinking, you might be wondering, where's the trick? Where is the caveat? Well, obviously, I mean, you guessed, right? It's not that simple. It's never that simple. You can't just sit there under the sun and wait for the magic to come, or just go for like a 15 minutes easy run and in the heat and expect to become the next Nobel Prize or the next Flash or something, right? I mean, things are never that easy, duh. But the main thing to remember is, in order to trigger any adaptation from the heat, you need to reach a certain level of discomfort. I mean, the more discomfort you feel during physical exercise, the more intense the heat stress or both, the more adaptation you will trigger. In other words, the more powerful you will get. Of course, you don't want to overdo it, right? I mean, heat stress is still a stress. You need to let your body recover from it, and that is the key. Recovery is when your body is actually getting stronger, not during the stress itself. The stress breaks you down, and recovery makes you stronger. I might do another video on how to concretely exercise and train in the heat in order to maximize adaptation, especially if you're training for a race that will take place in hot weather. Please let me know in the comments section below. If you're interested in this topic, I have listed in the description section below all the references I have used to make this video. That's it for today, guys. I hope you liked the video. Give it a like and also consider subscribing and hitting the notification button. I hope to see you guys soon. Do leave a comment if you have any question, and until next time, have a good run. Don't burn out outside. See you. And hitting the hitting blah blah blah, this and that, all that jazz. Up a lot. It took me forever to make that video, blah blah blah. Well, you all know all that jazz. Anyways,